So most of the time, all of the time on your tests, your exams, when we ask you to add and subtract with rational expressions, they're going to have different denominators. And now we know that a common denominator is required to add or subtract. I don't know what's happening there. Let's try that again. There we go. And remember that we are always going to use the lowest common multiple of the denominators. I think Pearson calls that the lowest common denominator. We're first going to look at this example using numbers. I hope you remember how to find the lowest common multiple of two numbers. Maybe you just know the answer, which is great. If you don't, we prime factored. And we said we're using all of the factors to their lowest exponent. So we have 15 times 4 or 60. So our common denominator is going to be 60. We need equivalent fractions. We can't write 5 minus 8 here. This is 5 over 12. This is 8 over 15, not over 60. So in order to find an equivalent expression, we have to multiply by what's missing. We know that 12 times 5 will give us 60. So we multiply the numerator and the denominator by 5. That gives us 25 over 60. When I look at the second fraction, I see that 4 times 15 is 60. So we multiply the numerator and the denominator by 4. Now we have minus 32. 25 minus 32 is negative 7 over 60. 7 is a prime factor. It is not one of the factors of 60. This cannot be simplified any further. We're going to use these steps that we did with fractions to subtract rational expressions. So what are the steps we want to think about? First, we're going to factor the denominators. We're going to find the lowest common multiple of the denominators. We're going to multiply each term by the missing factors. But remember, we're multiplying the numerator and the denominator because we want to multiply by 1. We don't want to change the value of the expression. We just want to change the way it looks. Once we have a common denominator, we can add and subtract the numerators. Always simplify. Combine like terms. Check if you can factor and divide out any common factors. And then, for more practice, we're going to state any domain restrictions. Keep these steps in front of you. Maybe take a picture of them on your phone and refer to them as you work through the addition and subtraction questions. And make sure you practice these. They come up in test 1, test 2, your final exam, because we expect you know these. This is from Math 99. And those of you who are having a lot of difficulty with all of these topics that we're looking at in week 1, may want to consider Math 99 as a good place to start. So the first step was to factor the denominators. Why don't you do that? Once you factor the denominators, you need to find the lowest common multiple of those denominators. We see that the first expression needs x plus 2 and x plus 1. We already have x plus 1 for our second polynomial or our second rational expression, but we also need x minus 1. Now remember, we need to create our equivalent expressions. X plus 1 can't be written here until we find that common denominator. We see that we have x plus 2 and x plus 1, but we're missing the factor of x minus 1. The numerator and the denominator have to be multiplied by that missing factor. If we look at our second expression, we see that it has x plus 1 and x minus 1, but it's missing x plus 2. Now we can open the brackets in the numerator and simplify that polynomial subtraction. Why don't you pause your video, simplify the numerator. Now remember, be careful here. We are subtracting all of this product. That means once you've opened those brackets, you have to remember you're subtracting that trinomial. So when we open the brackets, we have minus 3x squared minus 4x plus 4, which simplifies in the numerator to negative 2x squared minus 4x plus 3. Now, if you think about factoring that trinomial in the numerator, we have a times c, which is negative 6, and b, negative 4. There are no factors of 6 that are going to add or subtract to 4. So I know this trinomial can't be factored any further. This is as simplified as it comes. And this, of course, is your answer in factored form, which is usually where Pearson would allow this sort of question to stop. Our restrictions are simply the values of x in the denominator. So we see that x cannot equal negative 2, negative 1, or positive 1. There's one more question here for you to try. I'll let you work on that yourself. Okay, let's see how you did here. You factored the denominators and you saw that your lowest common multiple of the denominators needed 2 factors of x plus 4 and another factor of x minus 3. You multiplied by the missing factors. You saw that our first term was missing x minus 3, so you multiplied the numerator and the denominator. You saw the second term was missing 1 factor of x plus 4. Then you simplified the numerator, opening the brackets. You remembered, of course, that you were subtracting all of this second product. And your final answer, x squared minus x plus 1 all over x plus 4 times x plus 4 times x minus 3. It cannot be simplified any further. That numerator can't be factored. And we have 2 restrictions. X cannot equal negative 4 or positive 3. There are lots of questions to practice in your e-text and also in the homework from Pearson MyLab. If you're not already using the homework from your quizzes, I suggest you make use of that. It's a good tool for finding extra practice and help if you need it on any of the questions.